Production, yeah, we going live on Grand Rising.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, we
Okay, got it. Yep. It's being live streamed. It says it's being live streamed. It sent me a little notice. It said this is being live streamed.
good. Last time, remember I couldn't
Cool.
get.
Right.
Yeah, it is.
Let's see. I'm looking to see if it's coming up. Like, um. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Like it says live co-host discussion standards and expectations relationship. Notify me. It says 12:39 p.m. for today.
Got you.
I'm clicking on it right now to see. Yeah, it just has our emblem up there, and it says waiting for Grand Rise Collective October 14th at 12:39 p.m.
Okay, we live. We're live right now.
Okay, cool.
All right, brother. There's a little delay though.
Okay. Okay, I see it now.
So don't get distracted by the delay. Let me see. Can you hear me? You
Okay.
can hear me nice, right?
I
Testing
give
one,
it.
two.
Yep.
Loud and clear. Oh,
Yep.
wait. Hold on. This is I had to learn this. I had to figure this out last time. Oh no, that's right. Michael. Oh, okay. Oh, we straight. You hear me loud and clear, right? Like it's focused. It's not. I don't sound like I'm right.
You're right.
Okay. Yeah. Audio is set up. My audio is set up nice to the mic and all that. Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
All right, y'all. Your family. You're witnessing us doing live. So, and Cal, you want to check the chats? You want to do that? Because usually when I'm in
Yes.
discussion, I'll be thinking. So people might have. Right. It's a rainy day, y'all. Let me say this. So the plan is family, community. On Wednesdays, now we on Wednesdays we're gonna be from Sunday through Wednesday, you're gonna get
Mm-hmm.
constant content from us in the form of shorts and or live, real quick second updates on what we have in store. So we have a couple of guests that we've had on that you're going to witness and be able to see family over the next few weeks. One of which includes a Kilbello. This is informal introduction, Cal. So we do our
Yes.
formats, but one of which includes a Kilbello, who's a powerhouse in the education field, in specific relation to test scores, SATs, PSATs, college entrance exams, things of that nature. So you're going to be uh, quite impressed with him.
Mm-hmm.
We have a young entrepreneur by the name of Quinnell Williams, who has a design business. You're going to be very impressed with him and his knowledge
Mm-hmm.
base and his experience. He's going to share with you all some of the things he's experienced going through college, the very sensitive navigating field of entrepreneurship. Really going to get a kick out of that. And then we have a young lady by the name of Stacy Bonello. And Stacy Bonello has her own foundation, a nonprofit organization. Uh, Very intellectual, warm-hearted individual. I had the pleasure of speaking with. So these are the upcoming guest speakers that you're going to hear. And prior to the full video, you're going to get clips, little snippets of what we discussed leading up to that video. And just so you know,
Okay.
again, the schedule's going to look for content on this channel Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Sunday through Tuesday will be short clips, and on Wednesday will be the full featured video in parts. If it was a long film discussion, it'll be part one, part two, and
Mhm.
possibly part 3, depending on how long the video is. So those are the things you can look forward to. And I wanted to use this opportunity on this live to let y'all know what's coming down the pipe. Also, it is Saturday at approximately 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's raining outside. So if none of y'all are on this channel right now, y'all should be ashamed because you know you're not out there having no. You know you're not out there no picnics because it's freaking raining
Right.
out there. So you ain't no picnic unless you want to be under a tent or some and it's kind of cold, so it ain't warm. So cut that out. So if you since you're in the house, this is my little pitch, Kyle. This is how I'm doing.
Yes.
Since you're in the house anyway, you might as well get informed with information that's going to help you, inspire you, motivate you, encourage you to be the best you can be. Like Kyle says, Grand Rising Collective, to be at your excellence.
Yes.
All right, so you need to tune in. You better. This is why it's important that you set up your notification bell, so you know
Yes.
when we're live and when we're doing something, you know what's going on. And if you sleep at this time at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I mean, I get it. You're doing a lot of
Mhm.
work Friday, but it's Saturday. You should be up by this time at least. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's my little advice, father advice, which ties into what we're going to talk about at length today, which is expectations, standards, and expectations in terms of relationships. And this particular broadcast that we're doing is in direct relation to a couple of comments that we received from
Mhm.
our supporters, some of those in which you've seen already. So we're going to break that down a little more in detail, giving our perspective. That's my informal introduction, Kyle. It's live, so I mean, it's not like
Right. It's like, welcome, family.
you know
You
what
know?
I
Right.
mean. So
Thank
it's
you,
up
Ian.
to you. It's up to
Yeah,
you,
and
brother. How you
it
want
was
to do it? I
loud
don't
and
know.
clear. So appreciate you. Appreciate you joining us. Appreciate that. So yeah, this is informal live Saturday. Coming to you all from via NYC on a rainy, gloomy day, but it's not rainy and gloomy here. We always rising. We always shining over here. So that's what we live by. That's what we uh structure our lives around. So that's what it is. But yeah, we definitely have some things to talk to you all about today, based off of some conversations we've been having with featured guests, as Kayode said earlier, with Akil Bello, with Cornell Williams and Stacey Bonello recently. And yeah, they got some really thorough gems to share with you all, some really good information that you can really utilize to help you make better decisions and enhance some of the things that you would like to in your life via education, via entrepreneurship, and or maybe fashion, and also community activism. So, oh man, there's some heavy hitters. There's some heavy hitters, man. Cool. I'm still buzzing off. I mean, I wasn't there, family, for the Stacy, but I know Stacy, and she's a thorough individual doing real community work in real time over in the Brownsville, Brooklyn area of the city. And yo, man, these folks got some gems. It's just like they got some gems. And today is a special day too, because I want to give a shout out to my HBCUs. I got to do it, Kayode. I got to do it.
Holla!
So, I got on my shirt. It's a throwback shirt. Tennessee State University, 1912, 1918. I might be wrong. HBCU. My parents went there. A lot of my relatives went there. My brother went there. So heavy alum, Tennessee State homecoming this weekend. Also, Jackson State, a school I almost went to in Jackson, Mississippi, another HBCU. Their homecomings this weekend. Both TSU and JSU are Tigers, the alumni. Then you got Tuskegee, Grambling, and Central State. All the homecomings this weekend. So shout out to my HBCUs, man. Have fun and be safe. Don't get into that nonsense craziness that happened at some of these other ones. We don't need all that. Put the violence down, put the guns down, and have some fun, right? So I'm not an advocate of drinking, but hey, toast up, because what they say, live your life, live your life. So, but do it responsibly. All right, that's all I gotta say.
Sounds good, brother. So we didn't do it. Those who are watching this live, you're kind of privy because this is being recorded anyway. But we
Yeah.
do our own recording so that way we can edit, add some of these features in and stuff like that for y'all. So Kyle, I'm about to hit the record button as we get into the actual topic for today.
All right.
All right. So, all right. You know how we do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
Five,
Ten,
four,
ten.
three. All right. So here we go, bro. I mean, it's live. Shoot, we real here. We organic.
Yeah.
It's the real deal.
Mm-hmm. No pesticides. No pesticides. No GMO. Straight organic.
Hey, we have Enid. Hi, cuz. I love you. I miss you. You know what's going on. You know what's going on with mom. With mom transitioning, and you know what I'm dealing with dad now. But let me share this with you, and you can share it with the family. I'll get around to, sharing with them as well, cuz, um, this. I thank God for my brother Cal and these podcasts because it helps me. And those of you who are dealing with family, um, health issues, and things of that nature, it's very important to have people that you could talk to, and but also in addition to that, work to a degree. And when I say work, I want to be very careful how I say this. When you keep yourself busy, it takes your mind off other things, and to an extent, because and those of you who are watching community, this podcast is helping me fulfill a need, but at the same time, it's providing a need for me, and because this medium is helping me deal with a lot of the personal challenges that I'm dealing with, and is also encouraging, motivating, and inspiring. So, cuz, thank you for joining us. I love you. We're gonna be talking about some stuff. We're talking about relationships. We're gonna talk about standards and expectations. And cuz, if you haven't checked out the channel yet, check it out. Um, where we talk about this in detail with a guest host, Nashana Holmes. So I get into that just in those terms. So, cuz, thank you so much for joining us. I miss you. I appreciate you, and thank you for letting us know that you hear us loud and clear. I had to give a big out to my cuz, Kyle. That's my cousin.
Hey,
I,
shout
you
out,
know,
cuz.
that's right, cousin. My cousin
Shout
Enid.
out, cuz.
Cuz,
Salute.
I want to rep your location. Enid is in Texas, chilling down there. I think it's the Dallas area. I think you moved, but I
Oh
think you
snap! Oh
still.
snap! Dallas Fort Worth area. Okay. With the
Yeah,
DFW, they
yeah.
call it. Yes.
Represent. By the way, Enid, I don't know if you remember, but a friend of mine growing up, Rodney Thomas, he's actually in Dallas now. He's in Texas too, Broward County. I don't know if you're familiar with Broward County, but
Mm.
he's running for sheriff.
Yeah. Shout
In
out
the
to him, brother
Yeah,
Rodney.
he's
Mhm.
running for sheriff in Broward County. So if you know anyone out there in that area, what have you, and they're in the vicinity to vote, or they know someone in that area to vote, give him a shout out, vote for him. He's running
Yeah,
for
good brother.
election for
Yeah, good brother.
2024. Very good brother.
Yeah. He's
So
he's he's about it, family. He's about it. He's about doing the real work and being accountable. Like so, we wouldn't shout him out and support him if not. But yeah, that's from the crew. Kayode, him and their brotherhood, and they pulled me in. So definitely.
definitely, and he knows his stuff. Remember that the conversation we had, Cal, with about relationships. He was talking about the shooting, the Las
Yes,
Vegas shooting. Remember that? So
I remember that.
he knows his stuff. He knows his stuff.
Yeah, throwback.
Um,
That's a throwback family. If y'all can find it, well, if y'all can find that video online, that was a good discussion. That was what 2018, 20.
2018.
Yeah.
2018. Yeah, I want to give a shout out. We got Aisha on. We got Odyssey in the building. Oh, Enid is
Aisha.
Enid.
Aisha.
Aisha. I know. Aisha, forgive me. I'm bad with names. Hey, my name is Kayode. So you know what I was called, Kayode. Sometimes they wouldn't even say my name. They would just make the sound. Ow.
Oh man.
But no
Ooh,
disrespect. Appreciate you.
yeah.
And it's Grand Prairie, Texas, by the way. I was wrong. Not Dallas. Grand
Okay.
Prairie. So my cousin moved from Dallas to Grand Prairie.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, cuz you're welcome for that info. So we got people in the building, in the house. We're gonna try
Mm.
and do more of these lives, y'all. So stay tuned. Um, so Cal, we're gonna do the official intro, or we just gonna dive right into the conversation?
I want to dive right in. I will say this: the Welcome Family is the Grand Rise Collective podcast. If you're not familiar with us, we're all about striving for excellence, being our best selves, rising to the occasion. So we've been at this. Me and Kayode, we've been at this for 4 years.
We just did the
4.
calculation.
Yes, yes, and you know, big things come soon. Soon come. Big things soon come. So you know what I mean. So like we're really working at it. Been working at it. We're not new to this. We're true to this. To quote my brother King Simon, you know what I'm saying? But no, we've been in the trenches for a while and we enjoy what we do. And we appreciate all the support. Also, let me add this. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. And also, we take donations. We like to do my famous quote from Coming to America. We like the kind that jingles, but we rather take the kind that folds.
That's where you got that from? I was wondering
Yeah,
where you
man,
got that from.
yeah, man.
I
Yeah,
butchered it. I butchered that. That when you wasn't in the interview with Stacy, I was
yeah.
trying to do your thing at the end. I messed it up, man.
Uh,
But you're gonna see it. You're gonna see it. I messed
okay.
it up. So yeah, all right, go ahead, Cal. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, so yeah, so family. So we got some things that we want to discuss today. Shout out to my sister Jill in the building as well. I think it's maybe based off her comments. Very, very wise comments that she made. And we would definitely want to get into it because we want to clarify certain things. And there's a lot of things going on about this whole quote gender war, which is nonsense, really. It does exist, but it's really based off some fugazi, manipulative dynamics. And we want to debunk, demystify some of the things that we say as men and give some clarity. So
Absolutely. All right, so we warmed up, but yeah, warmed up.
yeah, like
But
showing up in Ladra, you warmed up yet? Ugh, you know?
uh,
Yeah.
you know what? I got it. So this is how we gonna start. All right. So can I start? Or you wanna
No, you
start?
kick it off, my brother.
All right. So thanks to at Locked and Natural Odyssey, and there's Odyssey Truth up here in the building. Peace, Odyssey. I see you. Um, your comment we're going to respond to. By the way, I believe this is her, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we're going to break this down for you. And thank you, Odyssey, for addressing that because she specifically called my name out. She said, Kayode said. I was like, oh. uh, so, so yeah, I have the articles for you, Odyssey, that we will put into the description um, at the end of this video. I may have the link is like really long. I'm trying to figure out how to. Matter of fact, Cal,
Mhm.
did I send you the link or the article in and of itself? I think I sent you the PDF, right?
I think so, but you might have to resend it because I do remember you say you want to send it, but I don't know
Okay,
if I got it or not. My email's been my text been acting funny,
no
family.
problem.
So forgive.
All right, so
Yeah.
Odyssey, what I'm going to do, I don't think I have the link, right? But I do have the article in and of itself, and I can put that the link. I think I'll find a link, but I'll put that in the description field of the video, because I can, and we're on Zoom, so I don't know how to do it on the live, but I will provide in the comments. I'll reply to your comment, Odyssey.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, got you. So I'm gonna reply to the comments with the link to the actual article, so you can read it for yourself. So, but before I do that, I want to go through your points and make it clear because relationships, as what we discussed in regards to standards and expectations, where I can't describe it. And I wish we had Nashana on,
Oh
um,
yeah.
to get a woman's perspective. And we welcome y'all on here too. So, if y'all want to join in the conversation, we could schedule a time where we could talk about this topic at length in detail and do a live and get
Right.
feedback real time. And if you have any questions or what have you, put them in the comments and we'll address it as well. But I want to go through your comments specifically, Odyssey, so we can provide more clarity. And with that said, I'm gonna jump right into it now. So
Mm.
Some of the things that Odyssey said, she said both the women and men need to care and love themselves and each other enough to value it on a level that will last. Because I want to make sure I don't misquote you, Odyssey. And I agree with that statement. I don't have a problem with that. And let me say this, and I gotta say it with a smile as often because you know how I get, Kyle. Um, I'm blunt to a degree, right? I there are times, probably more so than not, that I do beat around the bush, but ultimately my goal is to be understood, and I believe in being direct. So I want y'all to be, very clear on that. And sometimes my delivery may be harsh, but it's not intended to. My whole thing is for us to solve this issue. And I take this personally because, you know, Kyle tells me all the time I need to go to therapy.
We all do.
We all do because,
Yeah.
just be honest. The relationships now out here, it's crazy out here in terms of relationships. There's certain titles that are given now. We talk about the modern woman, right? Compared to the traditional man. Um, there's this thing called passport bros. Kyle, you ever heard of passport bros?
Yes, I have the passport bros.
Passport bros. There's these terminologies out here called MGTOW. MGTOW stands for men going their own way. And you have this movement of men, you know, operating this way in response to what has been happening. For example, from a woman's perspective or a woman's experience, and I talk about this in our video as well,
Mhm.
history and, that whole thing, not civil rights, but, women entering into the workforce, what have you.
Mhm.
So, man's response apparently, and it goes back history, so don't beat me up for this. But since the advent of what do you call it? Women's lib
Mhm.
and the Me Too movement and feminists.
Mhm.
That's the word I was looking for. The
Yes.
feminist movement, right?
Yes. Mhm.
Its initial start was to give women a voice, which we get. I understand.
Right.
Again, I
White
talk
women specifically.
that
Yes.
black women have adopted, I guess, or
Right.
other cultures to an extent
Hmm.
have adopted, and then it morphed into something totally different.
Hmm.
Um, and that has contributed to the, how can I say, the divisiveness in relationships that we see today.
Hmm.
Whereas you have men on the West Coast, here in the West, traveling overseas, to find wives. And the counter to that, the argument to that is passport bros are no good. They're trying to find these women overseas that are ignorant, that are dumb, that are looking for a green card, that want to be controlled. Kyle and I talking about this term
Yeah.
cater
Right. Right.
has a negative trauma effect to it. All these negative connotations in regards to, the behaviors of men. Now, I'm not saying there aren't men who are doing it. And I hate saying that, Kyle. I always gotta defend the art. I gotta say, this is not saying, I'm not saying, I mean, come on now. We have it,
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, it needs to be said to a certain extent because there's so many people that are just totally like just a wide generalization that unfortunately we have to say that we have to specify that. So
That's unfortunate though, but you're right. We're keeping it real.
it is.
All right. So with that said, Odyssey's comment, both the women and men need to care and love themselves. I believe both men and women do care and love for themselves,
Mhm.
right? I believe that. I don't think, and each other group and each other enough to value it on a level that will last. I think that's where the breakdown is. I think
Mm.
men care for themselves, women care for themselves, but as far as caring for each other, I think that's where the breakdown comes in. And I think, and let me say this again, some of it, like you said, Cal, bears repeating. We get it. I'm not saying, I'm saying in general, you know, um, I would say black men in particular, to a lot, and correct me on this, Cal, we get it. Listen,
Mm.
for as long as we've known back in the past, when women couldn't work for themselves,
Hmm.
and in order to survive, they needed a husband and a man. We look at our grandparents and great grandparents.
Hmm.
I don't deny the fact that, black men in particular, or men of, in of minority, would take out their frustrations on their wives. to
Mm-hmm.
a degree.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in terms of domestic violence or a man coming home and abusing his wife, I don't agree with that at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not advocating for that in any way, shape, or form. But I will say that cliche is true where it says you hurt the ones you love. So with black men in particular going out into the workforce, having to hold it down as it were, especially back in those days, and had to deal with the landscape of racism, had to deal with the landscape of bigotry, right? Dealing with the man and beating him down or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then he comes home, there's a level of frustration that he brings because we're human. And it might have overlapped into the wife and him snapping at her, you know, yelling at her, what have you. It also led to, because I experienced this firsthand, you know, and to an extent, let me be careful how I say that because I don't want to offend those I love. But you know, alcoholism played a part in that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas men would drink alcohol and it was a coping mechanism, or
Mm-hmm.
you know, use drugs or what have you, because it was a coping mechanism to deal with all the stresses and the challenges that men had to deal with, you know, during those
Mm-hmm.
days. Um, and to some extent, that meshed into or merged into or overlapped into, you know, him being verbally abusive at home, coming home and, you know, snapping at the wife or what have you. Because again, that cliche, there's some truth to it on both sides, just not man and women, but women and men. You hurt the ones you love. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that women didn't have to deal with that stuff, granted. But what has happened, and it's a wake up call, I would say, for men, is that after World War II or during World War II, when women had to work, we're now moved into it, and I'm fast forwarding, not going into too details, but women
Mm-hmm.
started to get into the workforce, be able to work for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that I think has led to this whole big confusion over what's going on today or contributed to what's going on today.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forwarding it, like, well, I'll touch on one thing. So during that transition, you had the movies that came out. Well, that what contributed to that as well, that led, I would say, Kyle, this whole thing was that movie Claudine with
Mm-hmm.
Diane Carroll and James Earl
Mm-hmm.
Jones.
Jones. Yep.
Whereas the system intervened, I'm being very general when I say this,
Mm-hmm.
and strategically removing the man from the home. So it addressed two things, right? Women coming
Mm-hmm.
from the pre-World War where they had to depend on their man. Now, and the man, primarily the dependence on the man was for livelihood, was for shelter, so it was the man bringing home the money, providing shelter for the wife, what have you. But once the government intervened and put in this welfare system, as it were, just call it what it is, whereas the wife didn't need her man anymore
Mm-hmm.
because the government was paying for her expenses, that
Mm-hmm.
morphed into a whole nother thing. It led into women getting into the workforce and now can provide for themselves, whereas they feel now this whole cliche, I don't need a man, or like you said, Cal, I could do bad all by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So this, I know I'm kind of being long with it. I'm just trying to set the foundation as to where all
Mm-hmm.
this is coming from. Right? So when we talk, when Odyssey, you talk about each other enough to value, do we value each other enough for it to last? These are the things to an extent men are facing. Okay, I messed up. Generally, men messed up. Maybe I didn't listen to you as much as I should have. Maybe I snapped at you because I had a bad day at the job. Whatever the reason is, maybe. Okay. To where now women are on their own and saying, I don't need no man or what have you. It's like, okay, so men feel if you don't need me, our job is to provide. So if you don't need me, then I'm out of here. Or holding these unrealistic expectations. I can't tell you how much of these news feeds I'm seeing with these new and these younger generation of women, and not even young women our age, Cal. Just keep it a buck. Just keep it real. Women our age talking about six figures. He has to make six figures now, right? I'm fast forwarding. I tried to give
Yes.
some details in regards to it, but now I'm going to where we live, where we at today, where we're living today, right? Where he has to be, you know, 6 feet, make six figures,
Mm-hmm.
right, and have a six pack, you know. Um, and I'm surprised women in my age group, they're saying this. There's this woman, Cal. I don't know if you've seen her. If y'all see this, y'all could do a Google search. Twinkle Twinkle. That's her. That's her
That's
YouTube joint. Twinkle
what?
Twinkle. Yeah, I'm kidding you not. Yeah, just look it up. Twinkle Twinkle and the whole women's thing.
Okay.
And you can see her influence on. And then I'm gonna hand it over to you, Kyle, as we go through points. I'm gonna get your take on
Yes.
this sentence as well. But you can see the influence she's having on women. Where there was this woman, I might add this in the description field too. Y'all can see this for yourselves as well. Where and I'm gonna incorporate some of these video things that I'm talking about in post and edit. So when you see the recorded version of it, y'all come back and check out the recorded version. She's on a date with a dude. She had I would say she's in her late 30s.
Okay.
I'll say in her 30s. I
I
don't
think
think
I know
in her
you're about to
40s.
go with this. But no, I'm sorry, not to cut your wisdom, but I think I'm okay. I think I know you're about to go with this though.
She
Yeah.
has to be in her 30s. So this
Yeah.
dude picks up. I'm not gonna say what nationality because it's irrelevant.
Uh-huh.
So they make arrangements, right, to
Mhm.
go out and eat, and he's taking her to this place called the Aria. From what I hear, that's an expensive place in California.
Okay.
ARI. It's like a Ruth's Chris
Okay.
steakhouse, right?
Okay.
Expensive. One plate is $100,
Mm.
right? So area is somewhere around it, 150, probably 200.
Mm-hmm.
So they make arrangements, right? He has reservations at this place for them to get there at 5 o'clock. He shows up at her place on time, and she's late, an hour late, right? That's one.
Okay.
Nonetheless, he waits an hour for her,
Mm-hmm.
right? She finally gets in the car. You look at the video. I'm a,
Okay, I thought you were saying go say one view, but this is something else. Okay.
right? Oh, and share yours.
Mm.
Get in the car. Anyway, he drives because of he. Anyway, they drive to the restaurant. It turns out to be Cheesecake Factory.
Okay, now this is the video. This is yeah.
Cheesecake Factory. I've been to
Mm.
Cheesecake Factory. This is a pretty
I've
decent.
never been to Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah,
I talked about this with my lady, me and my lady. I've never been to Cheesecake Factory.
it's a decent place, Kyle. It's decent,
Yeah.
right? She won't get out the car. She's like, oh, I ain't get out. Cheesecake Factory. What? I ain't going to. Won't get out the car. He gets out the car. Get this. He gets
Mm.
out the car, walks to her side to open the door for her.
Mm-hmm.
She does not get out the car because it's Cheesecake Factory. Twinkle, twinkle, right? And she's filming. We know this because she's filming it. So he's like, I don't have a
Yes.
problem talking about this. What's the problem? You know, he's being a gentleman, staying in his square, staying in his frame, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, all right. So he gets back in the car and they talk about it. And she, and she does her spiel. Oh no, I got all dressed up. Da, 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 and you're trying to take me to Cheesecake Factory? Oh no, no, no. How come? Right? So he shows her this was the place we were supposed to go. She's like, yeah, how come we not going there with her? Then he begins to explain to her, we had reservations. You had me wait an hour. We missed our reservations. So I figured
Okay.
instead of just ending the date and I still wanted to take you out. And I'm taking you to a Cheesecake Factory, which is, it doesn't require reservations too much. It still serves good food or what have you. She's like, oh,
Right.
and she still has an attitude with that. So she talks about expectations. As a man, I expect you to la da 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 this and that. And then he counters that by saying, well, I have expectations too. And if we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about respect, because we're talking about value each other, right? Again, y'all,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to rub I don't want to rub feathers the wrong way. I'm
No,
just
no,
keeping
let's
it
talk
real.
about it. No, let's
Just
talk
keeping it
about
real,
it.
right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
when we talk about respecting one another's values, right? Respecting each other's time. He asks. I think she said, "Well, how did I disrespect you?" or something along those lines. And she really didn't realize, how she disrespected him, and he had to bring it out. But after and this is we talking about modern women and why the passport bros exist, and to an extent why MGTOW exists and things of this nature, is because it was such a battle for him to have to explain all this,
Right.
right? And you really don't get what just transpired here, and what happened here. And this is just the first date. First date, he was going to take her out to Area, this expensive steak restaurant, on the first date. The plate in and of itself is $100. Picked up the whole nine. You really don't get it? So, long story short, Cal, and I'm gonna leave it over to you. He was like, you know what, the date is over. Since you have a problem with all this, you know, in so many words, all right, so how about this? I'll take you back home and that's it. The date is over. After he did that, she was shocked. She's like, oh. Are you serious? You taking back the date is over? I mean, can we compromise? You weren't willing to compromise prior. You were stuck. And but as soon as he counteracts and stands on the square, comes into his manhood. Nah, I don't deserve this. I've been through all this and you can't see it for yourself. Maybe it's best that we just end it. I think that is a microcosm
Mm-hmm.
into this whole dynamic that we're experiencing now in this dating age in terms of or in relation to value. I don't I don't know where everything got lost in translation,
Mm-hmm.
but why women and again I already prefaced the foundation. I get it, the World
Right.
War II thing and all that
Right.
other stuff, what have you. But it has gotten to such an extent, whereas women nowadays are reacting this way, are treating men this way, and are wondering why we have we have this happening. Now I know, and then Kyle, you take over. Now I know
Mm.
all women are not like this. I'm not saying all women are like this, but I will say from the example that I gave from Claudine, right, where James Earl Jones were at, women have been raised in single family homes,
Mm-hmm.
right, where mothers raised without the father and that father influence, that they have been programmed and indoctrinated to operate this way. And that's what's contributed to this. In addition to this, and then I'll leave it over to you, Kyle, the reason why, and it's been said, men are not wanting to get married because if they have to deal with this just on the first date, I don't see how you would even want to marry an individual like this. That's one, and then number two is being shown that it's a what's the word they use? It's a losing it's a losing deal for a man to get married to a woman because the way the court system is set up, right?
Mm-hmm.
In regards to alimony and child care. Now, family, I have family that this does not apply to. And I'm not calling anyone, I'm keeping privacy, what have you. But I know that there have been women in marriages where, he was a dog, he was wrong. I know this because I have family that's been through it. So, family, you know what I'm talking about. So, you know what I'm saying. So, I'm not talking about you, family. I know what your situation was. And, my mom and ourselves, you know what I'm talking about. Um, I'm just saying, family, that's an exception, and there are men who are dogs, and I get it, I understand. Unfortunately, a majority of women, um, the dynamic has just been so messed up, and that was your situation, family, and I pray that somewhere along the lines, that works itself out where if you haven't already found someone who values you and respects you, and you'll respect one another. And here's the word: value each other equally. So that way, all this nonsense can you don't have to deal with it. Go ahead, Kyle. On that
Man.
statement right there, both the women and the men. You want to comment on that?
Yeah, oh man, you said a lot.
I always do, bro. I always do.
But I mean, but that's, I mean, we have a lot to say. So we have a lot to comment on. So it's no, it's no diss, but it's just, you said a lot. I mean, I did see pieces of that video of what you're referring to with the sister Twinkle Twinkle, which is, that's funny, man. That's comical. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's your name, Twinkle, whatever. I digress. But how we wonder what you are, Twinkle Twinkle, because we don't know what we're dealing with, but I digress. But but yeah, man, the part I did see that video because it was the buzz over the internet. He handled himself very maturely, man. I really appreciate how he handled himself. He seemed to he respect her, really address her in a respectful manner. And she wasn't belligerent, but that entitlement was just like oozing out of her, man. That, it was just her whole way she was talking and just, oh no. And I'm just like, oh no, what? Like, and he's just like, oh no, what? The snippet that I saw, he really didn't understand like what's going on. Was a disagreement, and she had expectations that were not expressed to this guy. And I've been reading a book recently. Actually, me and my lady have been reading a book recently called Silent Agreements, right? And it talks about this. And the title is Silent Agreements: How to Free Your Relationships of Unspoken Expectations. She had a lot of unspoken expectations that she expected that this guy was going to take her to Rue Krause, because she expected him to be so patient when she took an hour, and she expected that he was just going to sidestep that. Oh no, I'll find you another steakhouse. No, we missed our appointment, but I still want to date you. I still want to court you. Well, let me get that. I still want to court you, right? And I don't want the date to end. So let me take you to at least a halfway decent restaurant that, we can order. There's many options we can order, and the food is not necessarily cheap. I've never been to Cheesecake Factory, right? I've heard all this good stuff, never been, right? But I know it's not like a whack restaurant. You'll find something that you like, right? So those type of people, man, men and women who have that entitlement oozing out of them like that, she did him a favor, and he recognized that. So, oh, you're one of those people. So I'm gonna just take your butt home, and you have a nice day. And I appreciate the effort or whatever. This is not going to work. And respectfully, I decline. Respectfully, I decline.
Yeah, Cal. Listen, can I call her? Is it Aisha?
Aisha.
Aisha, can you give me a nickname? Give me a nickname, because I don't want to keep. I don't want to keep pushing it. Aisha. All right, hold on. Wait. Aisha. Hold on. Aisha. All right. Aisha. Okay. Aisha has some comments she made, and here's what's your response on it? What's our response? She said yes. She agrees. Aisha agrees. Was annoyed by this, but I like how he steered it. Yeah, like you said, Cal. She basically, gotcha, Aisha. Thank you. I got it. I wrote it phonetically down. So Aisha pretty much agrees. The mere fact that she had the audacity to go live, it was the start of constant disrespect. Right?
Start of the end.
Yep. He dodged a huge bullet.
Like Mobb Deep, it's the start of your ending. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
and my cuz Enid, she says, I agree with everything you have said. Thank you, cuz. You're on point. Expectations usually kill relationships. Wow. Expectations usually kill relationships, especially uncommunicated expectations. Thank you, cuz. Thank you, Aisha. So you know what I'm saying? So I mean, oh man. And we're gonna take it.
Killer. It's the silent killer. You having these things, but you didn't express that to the person, and then you expect them to live up to that. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've done it in relationships, not just intimate relationships, but like family relationships. And it just messes everything up. It mirrors everything, man. Because I'm like, I thought you was gonna do this. How did I know that? You didn't tell me that. Well, you're just supposed to know. No, that's not how it worked. Mm-hmm. That's not how it worked. Mm-hmm. You better express yourself and at least give me the opportunity to live up to your expectations. And then we can have a discussion on if I'm able to do that, if I have the ability or want the ability to do that. Mm-hmm. But that whole I'm supposed to know, nah, man. Nobody, like my father say, I can't read your mind. I cannot read your mind.
And we shouldn't expect each other to read our mind, which is why communication is so important in relationships.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, so I'm ready to go on to the next. You ready, Cal?
Yes, sir.
All right. Odyssey says, this is a big topic, a big issue, yet one that I believe can be better and turned around when both are willing and doing what it takes. I agree. I agree that this is a big topic. I agree that this is a big issue. And I believe that, if we just come together and we communicate like we mentioned, we could do what it takes to have these long-term relationships, because the way it looks, let me just stick with the bullet points. Because like you said, Cal, I got this bullet point. So Odyssey was surprised. Odyssey, correct me if I'm wrong, right? Let's replace expectations, entitlement, and respect with compromise. I agree, cuz. I agree. Yes, those silent agreements will always trip us up. Yes, Aisha, I agree. So I'm going to address some of the points that Odyssey brought up, y'all. And I'm going to do it in a bullet point fashion, which Odyssey was surprised by. and this is good information because I don't think a lot of us realize it. Women and men in particular. Um, yeah. All right. So I'm gonna say that. So one of the key points that Odyssey brought up was in the year by 2030, everyone, we're in 2023 right now. So we're talking about in
Mhm.
7 years. By 2030, 50% of women will be single and on antidepressants. Odyssey
Mm.
was Odyssey was surprised by that fact. If I'm not mistaken, Odyssey, right? You was hoping I misquoted.
This is- wow.
That's not a misquote. And that's one of
Mhm.
the reasons why I felt led to have this live and discussion Odyssey with Kyle to really delve into this. And that's why I encourage all our subscribers and supporters to, let us know in the comments if you have any questions with what we bring up. Now, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes, you know, but I do my best. And Kyle knows this. I'm a fan of data, facts, and statistics. And what I witnessed in society today with regards to relationships really baffled me, right? So that's why I try and figure out, what's going on. But to that point, yes, there's an article that I'm gonna bring out. It actually says this is an article by Evie. The magazine is EVIE. I wish I could share the screen on this live.
Yeah,
Um,
Evie. I'm not familiar with that magazine.
yeah, it's a news magazine. It's written by Gina Florio. It was posted on January 4th, 2023. And again,
Mm.
y'all, I'm going to post the link in the description field of this video. So come back to the video when this is done, and I'm gonna post it up there. It basically says 45% of women are expected to be single and childless by 2030 per recent projection, right?
Mhm.
Single and childless. And as a result, and we talked about this, Cal, yesterday,
Mhm.
that childlessness will relate itself to being on antidepressants. And
Mhm.
if y'all could do a Google search right now, y'all don't even need me to depend on this statistic. They're saying that more women are going to be on antidepressants. If you haven't brought this up, Odyssey, in the points, I hope I'm not going ahead of myself. But one of the reasons why antidepressants are going to be prevalent with women more than men is because when women, I know you hate this. This is a top. What I'm about to say is a triggering statement, Cal. But
Okay.
I gotta throw it out. But it's
Okay.
the wall comment. So when women reach that wall comment, at that stage of their lives where I think they say by 25 or 30, uh, the women's eggs, they don't have as many eggs to produce. Um, the reality starts to set in as to a woman's divine purpose. And a woman's divine purpose as a nurturer is to bear children. That's what gives her purpose. So when these women reach this age
Mhm.
and they're single, and in their singleness they're childless, the true nature of who they are and their divine purpose starts to reveal itself, and they realize there's no going back. You can't go back and correct those mistakes. So in
Mhm.
order to cope with that, like we mentioned, the husband back in the days would cope with the oppression that he was dealing with in the workforce. He
Mhm.
would go to drinking and using drugs. Some women's, or half or all or what have you, their coping mechanism to be able to function in this world is the use of antidepressants. And that's
Mhm.
what this article talks about. So I'm not going to go all into it, but I will provide you a link. So that way, thank you, Odyssey, right? So that way, y'all can see. And they say recent data predicts that 45%, the 45% represents women between the ages, and this is interesting, women between
Mhm.
the ages of 25 to 44. Because they say at that 25 mark, when you're approaching 30, that's when the egg production starts to decrease. That's when, you know, that whole prime market value starts to, show its effects.
Mhm.
And again, certain diet, what do you call it, genetics, play a
Mhm.
part in this. Some women look younger, the older they, that whole thing, it
Right.
delays that whole thing. But yeah, what do you think about that statistic, Al? Um,
Interesting, man. Interesting. I mean, like we were talking about this last night in the Black Love School family. It's a community group that I'm a part of, um, from Moncho and Nawasha Edu, that they created in reference of bringing and recreating cultural values to create more community, more support for relationships. And one of the things that came up in regard to that, and this is relevant, Bam, so that's why I'm bringing it up, is the fact that, if women do want to bear children past a certain age, I think 35 or 36, that they call them geriatric pregnancies, right? And what I'm about to say may be triggering for some other people, but a lot of times when we talk about, I'm talking about Black folks specifically, but those from the African continent or indigenous to this land as well, our genetics are different. And I'm not saying that to be contrarian. I'm saying that because it's real. And it's mainly because of our diets, spiritually and physically, like what we're eating and drinking, consuming is junk. So it alters our bodies not to be able to sustain certain things health-wise for longer than some people who are not ethnically Black, indigenous, right? Now, what do I mean by that? There's this book called Medical Apartheid, where it talks about the medical practices versus mainly a lot of Black women are being violently attacked, subtle things in how doctors are treating them, prescribing certain things to them, just how they are diagnosed in hospitals, and it happens to Black men too over the years. And this book gives like a historical, detailed data of how it has affected birth rates, longevity of health and quality of life. And when we, because I know you're a fan of stats and data because it is important, but I love also the fact that you and I also relate the data in context, because we have to put context to the data, because any data and statistician will tell you that stats and data can be manipulated, and stats and data are also connected to the political and social context of a society. And when you have, I'm gonna keep it funky, family, when you have racist and when you have people who are only concerned about the health of their own ethnicity, those stats and data will be manipulated every single time. And that data has some validity, though. It does have some validity, because we are having marriages and relationships much later in life. And that's not really how it's supposed to go. Culturally speaking, from our culture, right? I'm speaking in my culture, in our culture, we should not be waiting to get married at 40. And I'm talking about me too, because I'm not married yet. But we working on that though. We working on that. Yeah. So, and I'm proud to say that as a Black man too. I want to put that out there too. I used to be scared of marriage, but I'm not anymore. I found out why I was scared. Because they tell us, like they tell women, you're not ready to be married, or you're not good enough. I'll say that. You're not good enough to be married with somebody. And some of that has some truth based off of how we're raised. But we have the tools in order to be together with each other. It's just that our enemy doesn't want to see that happen. And I think we keep forgetting that too. Like, the people who are our enemies, because we do have them, they don't want to see that happen, because if that happens, like Dr. Francis Cress Welsing said, they will cease to exist in certain ways, right? And that's not a threat. I'm not threatening anybody. I'm just relaying information, right? Because we are the original people. Now that I'm standing on my square on. We are the original people. I don't give a damn what you think and what you say. Do the knowledge, and you'll see that what I'm saying is 100% right and exact. So as original people, I speak from that perspective because I don't speak from slavery. I don't speak from pain. I speak from who we were before slavery. And there are people out there that put out this data that don't want to see us get together. And they're willing to sacrifice some of their people to make sure that that doesn't happen.
With that good job, Kyle. So with that said,
Mm-hmm.
you're an exception, right? I would say to an
Mm-hmm.
extent, we are an extension. I'm still I'm still figuring this stuff out. But you're an exception, and I want to give this props to you and Aisha. I got it right. I said it right.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Yes.
said it right. So I want to give props to you and Aisha. God bless, because that's the most. You said that's the most rebellious thing you can do, is raise a family, especially in
That's
these.
right. A Black family is one of the most rebellious things you can create, because what does a family do? It creates community. What does community create? A society. What does society create? A culture, a civilization. It's so small and simple, but yet so profound.
Very good, Kyle. Let me
Yeah.
read this. So, thank you, Eunice. Sobering statistics are sobering. Odyssey says that's a large age range. It is, in regards to the article. It is, but that's what the article says. And like Cal says, the information can be manipulated. I hear you. Enid says, yes, Cal, as African Americans and people of color, there are things about our makeup that is different, right? And then Odyssey says, yes, the things we take affect what we get out of life, right? Quality. So to your point. So now I'm going to hit your other point, Odyssey. So with that said, with the understanding that there are exceptions, you exude that, right? You and Aisha exude the exception. So we want to make sure that this is clear. In this day and age, those are exceptions are fine. That agreement with couples working together, God bless you all. Odyssey's next point is, let's not misunderstand, and we're trying to give generalizations here, y'all. So in general, what we see out here, those of us who are still single, what have you, is crazy. Odyssey says, let's not misunderstand that if the women are single, the men are single as well. Do men care that they are single? That's the question Odyssey is posing. What are your thoughts on that, Kyle? And then I'll give mine.
Yeah, depending on the mind state of the man, they may not care that they're single, but they want relationships. And we talked about this last night too, that we as men have been indoctrinated to think that relationships are only for women. That's what we've been taught. Like, we've been taught by society, we've been taught by our family, school, cartoons, movies, commercials, TV shows, our peer group. We're taught that relationships are only for women. So like we talked about last night, we like what women are. We like what y'all are, but not who you are. So we like what you can do for us sexually, sexually, like cooking, cleaning, all that type of stuff. And like, we like what you all do, but not who you are. So like, I've heard a lot of sisters say, like, people don't really listen to me, like men don't listen or whatever. Like again, it's a very transactional, objectifying thing that's happening. We objectify women. Okay, just have sex with me and just cook for me, and after that, get out of my face. And it's just like, whoa, like, that's not a relationship. So we're taught to hate women. Patriarchy teaches us to hate women. And actually, women hate on women due to patriarchy. Women hate on women due to patriarchy. So, but going back to my main point, certain men, they value being single because they don't like women, and they think that them not liking women is going to really help them in life, and it won't really. Like, are there some advantages of being alone? Yeah, you can do things alone, but you alone though. So when something happens, conflict or something, who do you have to go to? And they're like, well, I go to my friends, my boys. Okay. Or I go to my jump off, or whatever people call it. I hate to call sisters that because that's not who they really are, but I'll go to my side chick. But no, Is your side chick gonna comfort you the way you need to be comforted? Is she really gonna know who you are really? Is she going to really have your back, as they say? She gonna look, as my guys say, she gonna be looking for your six. That's a military term. She gonna be checking for your six. Watch your back. I don't know. Like, so it depends on what you value as for being single. Like, not you, but like a man, what they would value as being single. What's the value in it for you? Because I've seen the value for it because I've been single, but also know relationships run the world. We're some of the only people who believe that you being a single person, you're gonna make a great amount of change. Meaning, like Martin Luther King was a single person, but Martin Luther King was married. Malcolm X was a single person, but he was married. All these people that we tend to admire, they're married. They in relationships. Even Ronald Reagan with his racist ass. He was married to who? Nancy Reagan. Like, I don't think we get that. It took me a while for me to get it, but I'm coming around very quickly. Families and systems run the world.
Facts.
Super facts.
Right. So,
until we
I'm sorry,
get that, yeah, I'm sorry. Until we really get that in our heads, we're gonna be doing this. But here's the tripped out part. We were already on that. We just got off of it.
Okay.
We were already on that. But people fail to remember that we didn't stop being about families on purpose. People who are our enemies, they, like you said, Kayode, they engineered us to get off of that. Mm-hmm. Because, like, yo, we can't beat these folks as a family, man. We just can't. Look, we gotta break this up. These folks still think about this, man. And I've said this before on many podcasts, family, and forgive me, I'm not going off for tangents, all relevant. You put us in slavery, right? I'm starting from slavery in reference to American situation. We were indigenous people. You put us in slavery. You beat us. You raped us. You molested us. You arrested us. You killed us. You lynched us. You got us on drugs. You split up our families, and we still here. Mm-hmm. They like, these people will not go away. We won't go away. We're the original people. I tried to told you, as my friend, I tried to told you. So, and we're the majority of the people in the world. We're 80%. There's 80% of people of color in the world. You're only 20%, if that, and that's dwindling. Yeah. So you tell me, right, that being single is beneficial. Beneficial for who? Right? Is it beneficial for you? And it might be, no diss. But as far as us moving forward as an entity, no, it's not beneficial. I didn't get here by myself. I had two parents.
No, you're right.
I had two.
So, with regards to the comment, I don't. All right, let's not misunderstand it. If women are single, the men are single as well. And what I mean by that, let me explain that. So, in terms of in terms of relationships, right? Because here's some terminologies that's thrown out that I don't think the general public is aware of, and that is sexual market value and relationship market value, right? So, Odyssey, when you mention if women are single and women are single, in terms of what? Like, if you're talking about single in terms of matrimony and relationships, I'll go even deeper into that, right? So, women control access to sex. Mm-hmm. Men control access to marriage. In other words, relationships.
Relationships, yes, sir.
So, if women aren't getting married, that doesn't mean that they're not having sex. They can still procreate, right?
Right.
It doesn't mean, that they're not dating. Okay?
Right.
So in that context, men don't need marriage, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Mm.
Right? In terms of single, we're talking the term single in context of
Mm.
relationships.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at relationships, and we're gonna look at it in terms of marriage, where men control. Men for the most part, compared to women, are very logical. And man, I don't know how to introduce this one. This is gonna be something else. And let me say this for 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 y'all who are in the chat, women, this doesn't necessarily apply to y'all. All right, we're talking in terms of general, and this is a message that I believe we as adults, if you want to call it that, we owe it to the younger generation to inform, as well as our peers who are ignorant of this. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So men look at matrimony logically. And here's another statistic for you, right, Cal?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I talk about this as well. Data,
Mm-hmm.
facts, and statistics,
Yes,
DTS.
sir.
The divorce rate that exists in this country, 70 to 80% of women are filing for divorce. And I talk about this in our last video, right?
Yes.
Men
Check the
aren't the
last
one,
video.
right? Men aren't the one filing for divorce. So you got to think about that. Think about that just for a second. Men aren't the one filing for divorce. Now, women are going to say, yeah, well, the reason why women are filing for divorce is because he cheated and, he did this. Well, true, but there's also women who are filing for divorce because they don't feel happy no more.
Mm-hmm.
The marriage, they're not excited anymore. There's
Mm-hmm.
studies that are showing that there are sexless marriages.
Mm-hmm.
And then they wonder why the husband is cheating on them or when outside the relationship. Because as a wife, you're not fulfilling your duty, right? As a husband, and this is why I always try and break down the clear definition of roles. Once we understand or remind ourselves or re-instruct ourselves on what our purpose is
Mm-hmm.
and what our roles are in the relationship, I think a lot of this confusion will get out of here. I mean, because this is so deep. There's so many levels to this thing, man.
Definitely.
I'll go so far as to say this, and women, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, right? If any of us had a chance, I got to be careful how I say that, but I would say if all of us had a chance to live on easy street, we all would do it. You know that statement that says if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Do it.
You heard that
Yeah.
statement before, Cal, right? If it was
Yeah.
easy, everybody would do it. So
Mm-hmm.
just think about it. If women didn't have to work and they knew they could be with a man who would respect them, value them, provide for them, or what have you, there wouldn't be a lot of women in the workforce. Now, obviously, there's some women who want to work, or I'm saying to an extent, have a hobby, right? Where at least it's not as demanding as a 9 to 5, or as
Mm-hmm.
overwhelming as being in a corporate position. So if women had that option, they would. I think I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but would take
Mm-hmm.
it. But getting back to my initial statement, trying not to get too far off on a tangent. When we talk
Mm-hmm.
about access to sex and access to marriage, it's two totally different things. So men can be single in terms of relationships because of this, as I started off before in regards to logic.
Yeah.
When a man gets married, or you say marriage in and of itself, I pose this question: who has more to risk,
Mm-hmm.
a man or a woman?
Mm-hmm.
We're talking marriage, right? Signed by the state, that whole government paperwork, official form or act. Typically, a man has a lot more to lose. He has a lot more to risk, especially if he's affluent, especially if he
Mm-hmm.
makes money, right? So if a man going into this knowing, think about it, you're married to a woman that you got to see every day, and when you come home, no disrespect, this doesn't apply to everybody here. I'm just saying. When there's this thing that's going on now where he's constantly nagged when he gets home, right? It's real simple to please a man. What they say: feed him, have sex with him, and leave him alone. I hate to be crass, but I'm just saying, right?
No,
I'm
no,
just saying.
it needs to be said.
I'm just saying, right? We want peace, and that's coming out now. More women are starting to realize this as well, right? A man wants peace. He wants. Think about it. As a black man in particular, or a minority man, we have to deal with this workforce every day. our job inherently is to we take pride in case this has gotten lost in translation or
Mhm.
communication. We men take pride in being able to provide for our family. We
This is,
take
yeah,
we
I
take pride
totally
in
feel
be right. We take pride
that.
in being able to provide for our women. We
Yes.
like to be able to show off and show you off, and you ask for whatever, and we can afford it, right? And we can do these things for you. We take pride in that. You are
Mhm.
you are a reflection of us. Okay, but in order for especially Black and Hispanic men to do that, we got to deal with that damn workforce out there. We got to deal with the racism. We got to deal with the bigotry. We got to deal with the economic landscape that's designed to keep Black men and Hispanic men impoverished because it's not designed for us, right? So if after 9 hours, sometimes 10, 11, 12 hours, we got to deal with this BS every day, when we come home, and this is personal. I'm talking personal, Cal. We gotta
Agree.
come home. We gotta come home to another battle. Me personally, I dealt with that. I ain't getting into too much detail. I'm not gonna get into it now. But I dealt
Mm.
with having to deal with a battle on the job, 9 to 10 hours a day. And then I had to deal with the commute home, which was an hour, hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours on crowded transportation to
Hmm.
come home to be bombarded and attacked in my home. I had no peace. Initially, I was Kyle, I was happy if I could just get an hour and a half to 2 hours on the train of silence, man. That's how bad it was. I was happy just to get that because I knew when I got home, I was going to have to
Yeah.
deal with another battle. So the point I'm trying to make in terms of marriage, that's how men look at it in terms of being single. A man would prefer to be single, meaning not in a marriage, in a relationship with a woman that's not giving him peace in order to
Hmm.
give him the strength to endure another day in the workforce where he has to battle it out to be able to provide for his family, which inherently he takes pride in. And that's what it comes down to, Odyssey, in regards to that question. Let's not
Hmm.
misunderstand it. If women are single, the men are single as well. And I'm glad you asked that question because it
Hmm.
gives me an opportunity to explain it a little more thoroughly. And let me know if that answer, if you're still confused by that answer. So men would rather have, let me put it this way, phrase it another way. Men would rather be single with that single equating to peace than to be in a relationship which the equilibrium or the equal to that relationship is drama, conflict, arguments, attack.
Very
So
well
that's
said.
that's my answer
Very
to.
well said,
Thank you,
brother.
brother. I'm learning from you, man. I'm learning from you.
Yeah, no, that's man, that's right on point what you just said right there. That part. That part. Yes. And I think people don't, certain men don't even realize that they're doing that, but you articulate that to the T. And yeah, that's what it is. If single means peace, then I'm gonna go that way every time. Right. No, it's real. Especially dealing with like you said, the trials and challenges of a job and just society, and it wears you down. It wears all of us down. But like if we're leaning on the providing as far as uh material things, whether it be food, clothing, shelter, and those essential things too, will help provide that. And then we're doing that for the family. We're sacrificing ourselves because we have that superhero mentality. So we got to kind of get out of that a little bit. But like, right. But ultimately, overall, if I'm doing these things and sacrifice for the family and I'm not getting that recognition or peace at home, then it's gonna put a strain on our relationship of me wanting to spend time with you, wanting to be with you, and you start to wonder what are the benefits of me being with you in this relationship.
Very good. And there's
Yeah,
another thing that's brought out, Cal, why men, they say men go to the bar after work.
right.
There's even stories where men sit in the car
Yeah.
in front of the house, in front of the garage, for
Right.
like an hour, 30 minutes to an hour before they walk in the door. That says a lot. That says
It
a
does.
lot right there. And
It
and the,
does.
the scripture says it too. It's better to be in the corner of a house or something like that than be in a house with a contentious woman. Something along
Oh,
those lines. You know what I
mm,
mean? If you got to come home to that every day, first of all, your house is supposed to be your sanctuary,
yes,
right?
I
Your
agree.
house is supposed to be a place of peace. It's supposed to be a place where you can come home, re-energize, rejuvenate to be able to prepare for the next day. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If you don't have that in your home, and then think about it, if your home is not like that, Now the weekend comes, so you don't have to be at work now. You got 2 days you don't have to be at work, but you're still in a house filled with contention, still filled with chaos, still filled with drama. You know what I mean? You don't get a break anyway, and I know this firsthand.
Mm.
So Odyssey, that's my question. Thank you, cuz. Got you. Cuz says hit on point about roles and purpose of men. Um, very early on in the chat. Yeah. So once we figure out, I think that's like we said, we're trying to. By the way, yo, we're trying to do this webinar. We're trying to incorporate into education where we actually have a course on relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Like we actually teach on roles.
No,
That's needed, man. Because like
it is needed.
we talked about in the last conversation. Growing up, we were never taught about relationships. All we knew
No.
about relationships is what we saw, right?
Yep.
From our family, our moms, our dads, what we saw on TV,
Mm-hmm.
the misogynist that we see in music, right? The
Mm-hmm.
movies that we see. That's how we learned about relationships. Or our friends. You know what I mean? There
Yep.
was never a specific, and the church was supposed to be teaching us that. I ain't even going there.
Oh man.
All they talk about, they don't even. Church covers like matrimony and importance and monogamy and that kind of stuff, but it doesn't talk about trauma. It doesn't, the teach doesn't teaches us about trauma. The church doesn't teach us about communication, how important it is. Doesn't teach us about being able to, it gives these. I mean, the scriptures talk about abstinence for a time period and stuff like that. But I mean, these real integral detail nuances that are involved in relationships. It talks about not being equally yoked. What does that mean? When it says
Right.
equally yoked, it says someone who's not in church, right? So I dated somebody who was in church, ended up being the worst relationship I ever
Right.
had. I'm telling you, man. And then the whole idea about church in and of itself, um, first of all, when I was growing up in church, I don't want to get too far off on a tangent, but I had this idea that church was supposed to be the place, right? Where you
Yep.
find your wife and everything was great.
Yep.
And then I had to learn growing up that church was comprised of people who were from the world, but they were messed up in the world. So you have these
Mm.
people who are messed up in the world bringing that same baggage into the church. And you got the
Mm.
leadership in the church that's not doing their job and teaching, the pure scripture to help free and liberate us from that worldly lifestyle to be able to walk in Christ. So I was very disillusioned with that. And getting
Right.
into relationships messed up. I got blindsided like you wouldn't believe. So this is what I'm saying. There's no structured, I'll say, entity that I believe we need desperately in this world today that is going to teach us about the nuances of relationships, how important it is to give. Kyle, I got to give it up to you. Kyle and Akoma. The Akoma?
Yeah, Acoma House Initiative. Yeah,
The
Acoma.
Akoma House Initiative? Yeah,
Yeah.
man. How premarital counseling is so important. Oh
Mm.
my God.
Yeah.
To have these conversations about expectations, to have these conversations about what your role is, to have these conversations, how many children do you want? What's your
Right.
credit look like? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All these things that you bring up.
Yeah.
These are tough conversations that need to be had before you commit yourself to the partner that can alleviate all of this, making sure that you're equally matched to a person that understands you, and there's no judgment. That's another thing I hate, judgment. Anyway, I'm not going to get off on a tangent.
Right.
What's our
Yeah.
Odyssey?
Yeah.
Let
Yeah.
me
Yeah,
let
and
me
when we say, and I want to go in this too, because everybody's like, don't judge me. Everybody judges. It's just that it's the whole harsh criticism thing.
thank you,
That
Odyssey. She's getting it.
no,
Yeah.
because I know what you meant, but I just want to click because we say that like people judge me, people I don't want to judge. We all judge because that's how we determine if this person is right for me or if the situation is right for me. But it's what is the criteria you're judging me by? Are you judging me by a Christian value system, an Islamic value system, a Judaism value system? What value system are you judging me by? Are you critiquing me by? Because I need to know. Because if I don't know, again, unstated silent agreements, unstated expectations, then how can I really have a chance to live up to it or adjust if I really want to be with you, right? Because we all have to change in relationships, and that's one thing I learned from the Black Love School, is that you think you're going to get into a relationship staying exactly where you are, you're not going to have a relationship for long. You're going to have to alter some of yourself, not your core self, but some of the things that you have believed up to that point, because you have to take on a newer, better version of yourself. It's just like any job. I started teaching at 20 years. If I stayed the exact same way when I started teaching 20 years ago, I wouldn't have a job. I would not be able to teach now going into my 22nd year, right?
Why not?
Because I would still be ignorant and still be naive to certain things, and it would not allow me to grow and develop, to learn how to do things better, learn how to do things more efficiently, and learn more about people's behaviors.
So you would become obsolete?
I would become obsolete.
Got you.
Great word. I would become obsolete. And that's what people are doing in a relationship. They say, well, you love this version of me. It's like, yeah, I do, with the intention, because that's my intention, to grow and develop at a certain rate.
All right.
Right.
So to that point, Kyle, grow and
Yeah.
develop.
Yes.
I'm joking, family. Don't get mad. I'm just, but it's a valid point. Someone would say this. All right. So
Yeah.
does grow and develop mean if and talk about not staying the same, right? We talk about
Yeah.
not staying the same. So
Yeah.
as a, I can only speak for me. I can't speak for a woman. I know it's vice versa too. So as a man, if I met you and I'm dating you and I married you and you weighed you weighed, you look good. You weighed 85. You was 5'4", 5'5", and that, and you weighed 80 pounds. And then as the relationship continued, you grew to 150. Is that what we talking? Is that what we talking?
Yeah. Yeah. So
I'm playing. I already know the answer to that, but I get it.
no,
I get it.
yeah. But the answer is multi-layered, of course, but based off of, talking with my fellow Acoma House Initiative folks, and we talked about this recently, is you got to have your non-negotiables. What are your non-negotiables? And also, what are your standards for your life? Because depending on, our bodies are going to change, our mind, things are going to change, but if health is a priority, if health is a priority for each person, then that's a discussion that they have to have about, what if I was to lose weight or gain weight or things. Those are not just one, but those are multiple discussions, because health is a standard for me in my relationship with me and my lady. That's a standard for both of us. We hold health to a high regard. So since we hold health to a high regard, there's certain things that we've talked about and still are talking about in regards to how that looks and how that functions in our relationship. Is that us all both going to the gym every day? Is that going to the gym 2 times a week? Is that never going to the gym and doing yoga, calisthenics? What does that look like? Because for me, that's going to the gym, but for her, that may be something different. Hers may be yoga, or maybe, certain aerobic exercises, or dancing, or it's just different things, and those are conversations that people have to have early in the relationship, because if that's a standard or expectation, then let's talk about it. But we don't want to talk about it because I don't want to mess up getting the sex, and let's keep it real. I don't want to talk about that because I'm horny, or and I don't want to throw that off from me getting in your pants. Okay, well then just say that then. Just say, look, I'm sexually attracted to you, but I want to, no, you see what I'm saying? It's so foreign to us to be so straightforward that it's like, what? Why would I do that? Well, you want to do that because you want to walk in your purpose and walk in faith and walk in confidence that this is what you want. See, we scared to say what we really want.
No. All right.
We come from a society that tells us you don't deserve to get what you want.
So let me push back on that real quick. And this is good. I'm loving it. I hope you're enjoying this too. So that argument has been made by women who say, just be honest with me. Stop lying to me. You'd be surprised if you're. But there's been so many examples where men have been honest and women have been offended by that. Because many women, because biologically women are more emotional than men. Right? So it really does. I mean, again, don't get offended, family, and you hate when I say this, when I mention his name, we got to bring him into the conversation. We got to bring him in. All right.
Brother
so,
Sam.
Yep. So, Kevin Samuels, right? A lot of women couldn't stand him. right?
Hmm.
And I'll be honest. There was some things he was saying. I was like, "Yo, dag, son," it was just there was some things. There was a couple of things that was a little off there.
Hmm.
But the fact of the matter is, what he's saying. Where's the lie? Where's the lie?
Hmm.
Right? So in many cases, it's not. I think that's a part of the breakdown in communication where it's not really what's said; it's how it's said. And
Right. Yes.
I think it's clear. We need to be clear in regards to as men living in this society, right? Nobody babied us. The world didn't baby
Mm-mm.
us. They told it. They let the world let us know. Even women let us know where we were, and we were expected to eat that. We had to eat it. Like, it is what we But with women, when you're honest with them in the same way, it's not received the same way. And
Hmm.
again, understand women are more emotional, whatever the case be. But sometimes, medicine don't taste good.
Hmm.
Sometimes the medication that you get in your arm or what have you to help you feel better, it don't feel good. But
Yeah.
that doesn't mean it's not good for you. And I think,
Hmm.
when we talk about honesty, I think just be honest with that, right? Women say they want honesty, but then when they get it, they got a problem with it. And how
Right.
you're
Let's
misogynist,
be honest about honesty.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. No, no, we've all experienced that. And I think, with the sisters online right now and the brothers online, what we're speaking is real. And this is something that we as men have our we have our disagreement with. This is like when people, many folks on the women right now, when women tend to say that they want honesty, and a man gives it to her, not in a brutal way, not in a harsh way, but just typical honesty, then they catch feelings, because psychologically women are not used to getting rejected in society. They're used to just men saying, yeah, they're not. They're not. Women are not used to getting rejected in society. We talked about this last night as well. They're not, and it has a positive, but also has a negative. Just like men are used to getting rejected, that has a positive, that has a negative. So because women who are not used to getting rejected, and then somebody tells them something opposite of that, it like, whoa, it kind of shakes them up a little bit, like, whoa, hold on. Like, so you mean to tell me I'm not this totally 100% beautiful all the time? Like, yeah, you're beautiful, but you have some flaws just like everybody else. And it's like, whoa, I don't know if I'm
I'm,
ready to hear that. It's like,
you trying to
but
tell me I'm not a 10?
right, right. And it's just like, well, if you I can't tell you, if you think you're a 10, I can't tell you're not a 10, but you asked me though. So when you ask me, be ready for the answer. That's
Well, how
all
about
I'm saying.
well, how about this, Cal? How do I look in this dress? Does it make me look fat? And then you tell them, ladies, we just being honest. This is the conversation we having. This is how it
Yeah.
is. All right. And then you mad at me because you asked me. So what do you want me to do? I'm telling you my opinion. And now you're not gonna talk to me for the rest of the night or
And
the
this
rest
is
of the
and
day.
this is what we talk about, harmonizing styles, right? How men and women communicate, because we do communicate differently. We have to recognize that too. Men and women emote and communicate differently. It's not a better or worse, it's just different. And I think as men, because we live in the type of society we live in, we're told that the way women communicate is whack. Like, nah, it's whack, it's whack, it's whack. No, it's just different.
Mm.
Just like they try to say black folks, the way y'all communicate, man, what is that? What's that, yo, bro? And it's just different, man. It's just different. Like, it's not all stiff and nasally like y'all stuff.
It
We have a
varies.
deeper baritone. We have a deeper register on vibrations, and we use certain vibrations and syllables different. It's just different.
Mm.
So we have to even get past that part, that men and women communicate differently, and
It's
sometimes women speak in code. Y'all do.
sometimes. Sometimes.
Right, right.
So
And
no.
like like we just need y'all sometimes to be more, again, more open to criticism that's not harsh, but just criticism. And that's all we're saying. That's really all we're saying, just being more open to it. Like, if you're asking us, and you're honestly asking us, then we're gonna honestly give you an opinion.
Good job, Cal. So
Yeah.
Enid says, "Be honest and like you said, Cal, be honest. Like, thank you. Be honest and let me decide if the relationship is for me." That's what we're talking about, right? And
That's right.
having that open line of communication, that transparency, that honesty, that's fair, right? Because you're giving the person an opportunity to decide whether they want to be. Because just be honest, if you lie, the truth is going to come out anyway. So,
Anyway,
and I talk about this on one of my other channels. What sense does it make to have wasted 6 months, a year and a half, 2 years of your life with this individual, compromising in these areas and other areas when you weren't honest in the first place, and it's not going to work out in the long run. You just and that's I don't think people
it's,
realize this, and I'm guilty of this too.
me
Time
too. Me too.
time is expensive, man. You can
Man,
never get
hey,
time back.
say that again, brother. Ooh, say that one more time for the
Time is
people.
expensive. You can never get time. That's the one of the most. That's the thing that should be of high priority. Money you can always get back. You know what I'm saying? You lose money, you can make time. You can never get back. And I think that's another thing that we don't value and really look at.
Yeah,
How much time? And I
wasting
think if
each
we
other's
did, we would look at relationships differently. Go ahead, Cal. I'm sorry.
No, you said no. I'm sorry to cut your wisdom, but no, you said, man, time is very expensive. It is, man. We waste each other's time. We tiptoe around the tulips, and it's like, no, I get to it. If you pass 35, get to it. And what I mean by that is we're dancing around issues that we're already going to run into, whether we have sex or not. So we might as well just put it on Front Street. If you want to have sex, just say it. If you want a relationship, just say it, and let's work on that. But this whole, I'm trying to be nice. That's why I mentioned to you about the whole Amanda Seals thing, the nice guys versus good guys type of
Right,
thing.
right.
Nice girls versus good girls.
I gotta check
Like,
it out again.
yeah, man, like because we brought up in a society that doesn't regard honesty. Like you said, be honest, but then when you get honest, you're upset. So you really didn't want me to be honest. You want me to lie to you because you lie to yourself. That's the part. You lie to yourself, so you want me to continue to lie for you. No.
Yo.
If I'm an honest person, I'm gonna be honest.
Careful,
I'm
Cal. Careful. You dropping too much truth bombs, man.
a
You gotta
man.
chill.
Man. Let's drop
You
it.
upset some people.
Let's drop it today. Nah. When we first got into a relationship, my lady asked me, "Have you ever cheated or have you ever cheated?" And I said yes. And my answer was, I cheated myself.
Oh, okay.
Cheated
Okay.
myself, family. I cheated myself because I didn't live in total purpose. I was trying to be this nice guy in order to kind of like make people like me, or trying to, again, sex or whatever. But I cheated myself because, like you said, Kayode, I wasted my own time. I didn't ask those key questions in the beginning, and I waited 2-3 months later.
True.
I wasted my own time.
True.
I cheated myself because I cheated on my time, man. I wasted my own time.
True. Drop. Yeah, brother. All right. So honestly, just know that when you come to us with comments, we're gonna go in. So don't let that intimidate y'all. If y'all want transparent, honest viewpoints or perspectives, let us know. Put them in the comments, because we're gonna give it to you real. We're gonna give it to you real, and I'm gonna break each point down. Kyle and I, we break each point down to make sure we understand your questions and it's clear. And according to you, Odyssey, you said that you overstand. Thank you for explaining. That's what we do.
Inner and overstand, yes.
Right. And here's the thing. I thank you for providing us with the comments and the questions, because it's going to be informative to others, right? These are probably some things that other people have questions about but didn't ask. So this video is part of what we do at Grand Rising Collective, in sharing the knowledge from our perspective and trying to enlighten the community as well as enlighten ourselves, so we can learn from you as well. Let me go real quick. The other point that Odyssey brings up is, do men value family? And my answer to that question, while Cal is thinking, we absolutely do. It falls right in line with our purpose. Our family is our pride. We take pride in being, in my opinion, I'm not, again, this is general, to an extent, but as a man, biologically, we take pride in ours, right? That goes into the whole, I'm not gonna go into it now, or maybe the conversation will lead there, but we take pride in what's ours. And if you commit to us in the context of family, meaning taking on our last name and bearing our children, Yeah, we look forward to that. We take pride. Actually, that's one of the things that's a struggle to a large extent for, I think, myself and men included, is family gives us purpose,
Mm-hmm.
right? Family gives like a woman bearing children is a woman's purpose, or it gives woman purpose. A family is a man's purpose. A man is built to protect, to provide. That's our purpose. That's what we work so hard for. We work hard for that. We work hard to build the family. Like and Kyle says again, a black family is the most rebellious thing you can do in today's society. So that gives us purpose. That gives us the will to fight. That gives us the will to move on. That gives us the will, to pursue forward. Plus the fact that we bearing children, particularly a son, we leave a legacy. We leave
Mm-hmm.
our name to go on, right? To just go. It's just I don't know how else to explain it. But in
Yep.
answer to your question, Odyssey, yes, men, in my opinion, being a man myself, we value family. Kyle?
Yep. I agree. I agree 100% what you said. We do value family. We value legacy. And also, again, what is the purpose of having family, right? Because family can provide purpose on top of the individual purpose, but the family provides that initiative to create a unit that has certain values and morals and beliefs that will hopefully help change the world, but definitely will change our lives, but hopefully change the world. But yes, men do value family. Now, how they go about that may be a little interesting, but they ultimately, if you ask a true man, like, does he value family? Does he? Yeah, he'll typically, probably 8 to 99 times out of 10, he'll say yes.
Absolutely.
Even if he
That's,
doesn't have it, but he may have wanted it, or something, but something happened where he couldn't get it or whatnot, but he does value it.
and that's, again, the webinar and all that building up strong man. That's just in case those of you are listening, that's what we do, youth development, right? So I
Yeah.
teach young
It's
men.
always commitment.
Yeah, I teach young men about finding their inherent skill set so that way they can position themselves in society to establish a career, ultimately start a business, so that way they can ultimately provide for their family. So there's a bunch, even my age group, but particularly these young men in high school, I'm trying to give them that instruction, which is something I didn't have growing up. So that way we can bring upon a new generation of
So
young
teach.
men, right? Young men who can, contribute to society and start that family structure and not be so damaged in order to provide that leadership and protection for their mate, whoever they decide to, with that integrity, with their integrity intact, their morality intact, and their character intact. So that's just so you know. So that's why that's important. That's on our plan. So next one: Do
Yeah.
men work Do men put work into themselves and into their intimate relationships in order to make a solid foundation so it can last, Kyle? That's Odyssey's.
I think men who are intentional do that, but I think the work has changed over the years, and I would say at a rate of certain statistics that I know, not enough. We do, but not enough.
I don't even know how to add to that. I would say yes. Um, I would, and like Kyle, there's nuances to it, right? So
Mhm.
in general, again, you can't deny biology, right? So I would say, yeah, men are doing that. There's a big push now for men to work on themselves,
Mhm.
pretty much going to the gym. I don't mean to put your private out there, Cal, but this is a good thing.
Yeah.
But Cal is hitting the gym. I'm embarrassed. I got to get to the gym, man. I'm slacking. But Cal is
No.
going to the gym, and these are ways that we're trying to uplift ourselves, clear our mind. You know about that whole thing in the gym too. Man couldn't even go into the gym no more because women were talking about, they there's some stalkers in the gym and so. So now I'm telling you how it works. So
Yeah.
not all women, but you have these women for clout are going into the gym wearing these provocative tight clothing, um, and then they're filming it, and then they see a man in the background, and they're like, oh, he's stalking me and stuff like that, and they complain about it and having the man get kicked out and all this other stuff. When actually some of the men are in there to work out, they're looking at that weight area because they're waiting for her to get off. So
Mhm.
they can use it and do their workout. But that's been changed. So now men are now again adjusting and creating home gyms, right? There's even
Yep,
talk, Kyle, that the gyms are losing money
they
because
are.
men are going there, right? They're creating home gyms now. You know what I mean? So, and
That's a great point. That's a great point. They are slowly losing money. I mean, based off of COVID, because you got the sanitary thing going on. And like you said, the home gyms, man, people are like, okay, I have enough money. We got used to doing the home gym. So now the shift of behavior, that's one thing COVID did was shift our behaviors, and behaviors come from habits. It was shifted our habits, and habits create behaviors. So when it did that, yeah, definitely, if I had enough room, I would definitely have a home gym, because it's just, like, I just want my own stuff, and I'm ready to get to it when I want to get to it. You know what I'm saying? So eventually I will have that.
got you. I know you will. Odyssey,
Yeah.
thank you so much. We're glad that you appreciate it, and we hope that other listeners, women and men, listen to this information that we're sharing, and they appreciate it as well, and ultimately that it helps them, but it helps all of us as a community. So this is why, and let me reveal this: these conversations Cal and I have on this Grand Rising Collective podcast is like therapy for me. It's brothers coming together. And Nashana said this in our discussions. Nashana
Mhm.
was like, she wished that, we could do these more often, and that
Yeah.
women could hear black men, you know, talk intelligently about things that are going on in society to open up the conversation. And that's a key element of what's needed to help us heal. Key word,
Mhm.
heal, right?
Yeah.
Because you said also, Cal, was sick. Everything that we've been through, post traumatic slave syndrome, systemic racism or what have you has contributed to our sickness. So these conversations in its form are healthy, and it helps us to be able to understand and pretty much go about the process of healing. I would say organically and more effectively. So thank you, Odyssey. I appreciate that.
Indeed. That
Um,
hard accelerate love, man. You know what I'm saying? The acronym, you know what I'm saying? So yeah.
there you go. So yeah, so the whole gym thing. So yeah, men, I agree with Cal. We go about it different ways, but we are putting that work in, and we and for the most part, I think this whole situation with the Me Too movement and the feminist movement, I think woke men up and got us into a headspace where we're starting to prioritize things that are important, and that I believe that will lead into leadership. Whereas women can, it'll help women heal and start to see men operating as they should, with character, integrity, morality, and can become men that you don't have a problem. Here's the word, Cal. Here it comes.
Mm.
Men that you don't have a problem catering to. ah, cater is such a traumatic, traumatizing word for women. Now, I cater. That whole thing. Well, am I gonna cater you? I ain't just servant. I ain't just slave. That whole thing. When you
Right.
look up the term cater, and we talked about this, Cal. So women, just understand, we talk about catering. We're not talking about servitude in terms of being a slave. We're talking about being agreeable. We're talking about working together, that whole thing. But also to clear up that confusion, knowing our roles. And I think women, it'll behoove men as well as women, particularly to know what our roles is so we can function in those roles. And once you know
Right.
what your role is, you won't get caught up in all these terminologies and stuff like that. And one thing I want to add to that, women, again, in the context in conversations, women say that the reason why some of them who have children already,
Mm-hmm.
right, and yet they want that high value man. Oh, we're gonna get into
Right.
some toxic conversations now, y'all. Get ready. Um, High value man. They shouldn't be disqualified because they've had children from another man,
Mm-hmm.
baby mamas, that whole thing, right? And
Right.
the argument to that or the pushback to that is right. No one's any less than anybody else. Let me clarify
Mm-hmm.
that. But it shouldn't be expected for a man to take on another man's responsibility.
Yeah.
I don't think that's fair. I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
I
So when we
agree.
talk about equally yoked, we talk about having those conversations, right? That's kind of what we're talking about. Now, I'm not saying, there are men out there who have no problem doing it. That's cool. But I don't
Mm-hmm.
think men who don't do that should be victimized or attacked or what have you, because that's his preference, just like women have preferences.
Right.
So, I just wanted to throw that out
Thank
there.
Thank you for saying. I want to chime in on that too, my brother, because I have people in my family, I have friends, who shoot, man, even in my own family. Like my father's father was not his biological. So I've seen those examples of men stepping in and being the father, man, and that's people talk about that's a simp. No, that you simping when you say stuff like that. Like when you say stuff like that based on the situation that Black folks are in, that's some simp behavior. The fact that you're chastising another man, taking responsibility of another man because he chose to. Now, where it goes wrong is when that man is taking on the responsibility of another man's children, and he's being disrespected in the household. He's not being respected and revered for the role he's taking, and no one is following his leadership. That's when it gets really toxic and chaotic. But if he's being respected and he's choosing to take on that role, man, I salute him, and I salute his wife for being able to let him lead and give him that respect that he deserves and has earned to rear her child or her children.
But
For
see,
that,
that's the point, Cal. The what we're seeing today, based on trauma and all that other stuff, is women not respecting that man
yeah,
who takes on that other man's child. Right? And when you look at it, and when you ask women to a large extent, as a man, your role is to provide the structure for that household. Women have a problem with that.
mm-hmm.
I don't need you. You ain't controlling nothing over here. We're equals, partners to a degree. Don't wild out when I say that, y'all.
Right.
But you know what I mean? As a man, a man's role is to instill discipline, right, in that household. Is to because that's if that opens up a whole nother. But if
Oh, yeah, of course, I know it does.
you know what I mean,
Man.
so if you're living in a house and a robber breaks in, typically a woman is expecting the man to defend the house.
Yes.
Right? Because if the robber is a man, yes, keep it real. I get real. It takes a while sometimes for us to get here, but we do get here. Just say a woman is not physically built to take on a man. It's not. It just is not it. Now there are exceptions. Yeah. There are women who are built like men. I'm talking generally. A woman's biological makeup cannot compare to a man in strength. It's just
facts. This is facts, man. This is science. This is science. So could certain women do it? Yeah, of course. But should again, just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it.
Right. You know what I mean? And so that physique right there, that science in and of itself connotates that there's certain how can I say things that this man come with, right? In that role, biologically, he's in that position, right? To be able to, there's certain things that come with that, right? If you're the president, there's certain roles and responsibilities that you're responsible for. As an employee, there's certain roles and responsibilities you're responsible for. So when I said that, I got off on that in regards to men who take on the role of taking on another man's child. One of the pushbacks that you get, two of them, number one is when a man tries to establish regulations or what have you, standards in the household, he gets pushed back for that. Number one, she's not, because we're living in an age of independent women. I don't need you telling me what I can and cannot. Not saying that he would do that. I'm just saying that certain, you know what I'm saying, in the context of the role. So this is a pushback. The key point I wanted to make is exercising discipline on the rearing of that child. That's where it gets tricky.
Right.
Right? So if the child is doing something that requires discipline and that foster father tries to exert that discipline on that child, he's going to get pushback from the baby mama saying, that's not your child. Don't you touch my child.
Right.
I'm talking generally.
Yes.
Don't you touch my child. So it's like, well, what is my role here in this situation? As the head of the household, that's not a derogatory term, women, don't get triggered by that. But as head of the household, I'm trying to establish some standards and some structures. The child is acting out, he needs discipline, he needs that role model from a man, and I can't discipline him. Right? That's one. The second one is the child comes back with, you're not my dad. Right. Who do you think you are? I'm telling daddy. You're not my biological dad. So it
Right.
you know what I mean? It handcuffs them that's why that situation is very complicated in and of itself in its form.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's why. But I mean, like you said, there are some men who can rise to the challenge and women who respect his role in doing it. And in those situations, it works.
Yes.
I mean, these topics we're talking about, your
Of course. Yeah, man.
part two
Yeah.
and part three. You're gonna
Oh
have
yeah.
questions. Hit us up with more questions. We'd love to get into it. Okay, then Odyssey says, I agree. A space like this. Can you see the comments, Cal? I don't have
I
to read.
can't.
All right, so there you go. Is healthy and can discuss, heal, and make progress. You're welcome. I'm looking forward to more. Awesome, Odyssey. You're gonna get more. Keep putting keep putting them comments in there.
Yeah.
And if you look at the live, we started. We have some coming your way already. Akil Bello, who's in education, he deals with SAT prep. You're gonna love that conversation. We have another one with a young man who's an entrepreneur, Quinnell Williams. You're gonna love that conversation too. And we have another one with a young lady, Stacy Bonello, who starts her own nonprofit organization. You're gonna love that conversation as well. So be ready. They're gonna. Oh, I gotta say this too, Cal, so they know. So look for content on this channel. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. You're gonna see some clips, some shorts of those conversations, and then the full conversation is gonna be posted up on Wednesday. If it's a long conversation, like an hour and a half, you're going to see parts. So it's going to be part one and part two. So just bear with us as we get consistent with providing you with this information. All right. All right. So the other question and I got two supplemental questions I'm going to add to the comments.
Yeah, time is ticking. So I want to.
Got you. Let's go. So what is causing this breakdown and what is viewed as value? What do you think is contributing to the breakdown, Cal?
Oh yeah. Well, the fact that we don't have value for each other. That's pretty straight up. That we don't. People have society has devalued us, and we devalue ourselves and each other. So, yeah. And people have to realize value compared to what is if it's value compared to dollar, then that's just slavery all over again. You're just comparing yourself as a product, as an item, as an object. But you know.
Gotcha. All right. So two things I want to get to before I get to Odyssey's comment that was done on another video. That I can do bad all by myself, Odyssey. So we're gonna get to that. But I want to share this, right? So, and again, this isn't particularly for y'all who are in the live right now. This may be more beneficial for those who view this later on, or information to share with those who family, friends, what have you, who may be struggling with this, have questions in this area. So I thought this was interesting, and I might put this in post. I might put this in the post edit form. So I'm curious. We don't have any women on in this conversation yet, but feel free to put in the comment. We want to hear from you on the comment regarding this. This is this is real. And it can be touchy. Some people view it a certain way. So there's this guy called Devell Ellis. He's a former basketball player. Yeah. Do I have him here? He's about y'all know him. Anyway, so the conversation was real interesting because this is some of the stuff, and it ties into sexless marriages, y'all. So I want to bring this up while we're talking about relationships and some of the key points of it. Communication is important, but we got to talk about the intimacy as well, right? So what resonated with me and what I found so interesting, and that it was confirmed and verbalized, was Ellis. I forgot. I think it's Devell Ellis. Whereas, and it ties into divorce, where women validate divorcing their husbands or in relationships with their significant other because he cheated, meaning he slept with another woman, right? So there's always a cause to an effect.
Yeah.
So why did he cheat? So women tend to think, from what I'm hearing, I could be wrong, that men will be men. That's just what they do. They just cheat. And there's some validity to that based on historical reference.
Yes.
Right? So they were kings of rulers and stuff, and they had concubines, and, and the Bible even says it, right? David, Bathsheba, and all that other stuff. Right? So, but we equate that to the Old Testament and the New Testament. According to the marriage laws now, reason for divorce is valid if you cheat. Okay. So I'm speaking in reference to the men who don't just arbitrarily cheat. I'm speaking to the men who are being deprived in their relationships, which also contributes to why men don't want to get married. One of the reasons why, right?
Right.
Because what tends to happen, and women, you'll tell me if I'm wrong, what tends to happen is she changes when they get married, from what I'm hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So after she gets married, then and the one of the reasons why she changes is because after she's had children, you know, I'll put it to before marriage, they were intimate. The intimacy was hot. It was exciting. It was done on a regular. After marriage, strict a, a
Start
strict bow,
declining.
bow.
Yeah.
Right? And because of that drop, the men's sexual desire is still there. I think it's important that women understand that. That sexual desire is still there for the men, but for the women, it's different, right? So then I'm speaking in reference to that as to maybe this is one of the reasons why he cheats, because the woman isn't as sexually active or involved like she used to be, and the contributing factors to that is she's bore a child, probably two children, right? She put on some weight, right? So it's taught you got to take care of that child, sleepless nights. You know what I mean? The child takes over. The child is the
Mm.
priority. And what tends to happen is the relationship takes a back seat. And in those type of relationships, we wonder why the porn industry is making money. We wonder why the strip clubs is constantly. We wonder why these husbands are there. And I think it's an important conversation to have when we talk about relationships and women's disdain and feeling like just disrespected and all that stuff when he goes outside the marriage. I said all that to say this video, and I'll put that in post too. I'm gonna add that to post. Deval Ellis, him and his wife had a conversation about that. And what he brought up was, and you let me know your thoughts on this, Kyle. He said in that video, I'm paraphrasing, so it's not verbatim, but the video you can see for yourself. He says, you know, you told me that if you want me to marry you, you have to give up all your girlfriends. Right? You can't, there's no more, there's no more relationships. I don't want you seeing any of your girlfriends, something along those lines. Right?
Okay.
So he agreed. He said, okay, I will, like we talk about compromise,
Mm-hmm.
do that, cut off all the girlfriends, whatever the case may be. They were dating away. Oh, I won't see any other women. You'll be the only one. Knowing he has this sex, he has this sex drive, they were getting it done, right?
Mm-hmm.
So his question was, post relationship, and I don't think women realize this, and this is what she confessed, which was so profound to me. She said that I didn't know that after we got married, that she didn't even think about it. She didn't even think about his sex drive. She didn't think that she would have to have as much intimacy or have as much sex with him after they got married.
Mm-hmm.
Now get this. Okay, so you didn't know that, and your reaction was to cut down on the amount of intimacy you having with him. Get this, and yet he's still required to only have sex with her.
Mm-hmm.
You see, so if he's used to being intimate with his significant other, his wife, 5 days out of the week, that's his drive.
Right.
He agreed to that, and what part of the terms of getting married. After marriage, now she only has sex with him 2 days out of the week. How is that fair to him?
Right.
And what she admitted was she didn't realize, and I don't think a lot of women realize this. I think they don't realize the compromise that he's making compared to the compromise that she's making. And I know women like saying, hey, I bore your children. Shoot, that should be a fair compromise, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm having your child. I'm raising your child. I get it. I understand that. But how are you going to argue with his biological need, though? You don't desire it as much as he do. So it's not really hurting you. But it's hurting him, and I say that because that's why we have this situation that we have out here. Why, to a large extent, there are sexless marriages that exist, And as a
Mm-hmm.
result of the sexless marriages, you have this proliferation in strip clubs and porn sites and stuff like that. Because
Mm-hmm.
there's a need that your husband have that you committed to that's not being fulfilled, that's not coming through. So, what do you suggest? What if the
Right.
tables were turned? What would you do?
Right.
And I just bring that up there for women to think about. Then how about this? You're 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 requiring a man be faithful to you, right? But are you considering what he's giving up in return? Maybe marriage isn't right for you. Maybe you shouldn't expect him to marry you. Maybe you shouldn't hold him or require that of him.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's a fit. Maybe that's the fair exchange right there, right? Maybe, hey, you're right. It's fair. It's not fair to the both of us. I think you should do this. You don't think it's right. Okay, maybe marriage is not. I think women should just think about that before they get into marriage, having these expectations, thinking, you're supposed to adhere to this, right? Because I think that, we figure a solution to that. Maybe, these other institutions wouldn't be as so, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
What are your
well, yeah,
thoughts on that,
I
Cal?
promise. No, you made great points, brother. You made great points, and yeah, and those sexless marriages are a thing, and that goes back to those early conversations of questions and discussions about how important is sex in the marriage. People don't even know to ask that question. How important is sex? And again, people can change. Now, of course, we know this. People can change and flip the script and lie, all that type of stuff. But that's why it's important to court somebody. See, we're having sex first, then we're asking questions later. It's out of order. Your order of operation is out of order. It's out of order, and we're all guilty of it. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't know no better. But that's why it's important to get back to our cultural, a lot of our cultural values that were conducive to us producing greatness. How important is sex in your marriage? If sex is that important, you need to get with somebody and they need to know that, to say, look, hey, I like it 5 times a week, right? I'm willing to compromise maybe with 3, but lower than 3, it's gonna be touchy. You know what I'm saying? And that's real. So y'all gotta see, like, yo, is that something I can really keep up with? You know what I'm saying? Like these are conversations before you even get naked with each other, that you gotta figure this stuff out. And then once you express it, then you gotta live it. Then I gotta see if that's really what you want. Right. And that's where the courting comes in. The courting is like, okay, I'm around her or around him, and okay, she says she's high sex. She likes sex just as much as I do, but it doesn't seem like that. She doesn't, it's just not. It doesn't seem like that's the case, you know. And again, these aren't these are hypothetical situations, but these are real situations. But what I'm saying is, for the most part, we're out of order. We're just out of order, and we got to express these things early on before we start having intimate sex with each other, because you're trying to figure out later than sooner. It typically it leads to more arguments, more confusion,
A
and
waste of time and a breakup.
breakup. Yeah.
So I thought I'm gonna put this in post, but I thought that was an interesting conversation. So continue this conversation, y'all, among your circles. Go on with that. Final one. Final one. Odyssey says, in my experience, typical when I hear a woman say, "I can do bad all by myself," it's usually in response in reference to being with a man that is cheating on them or abusing them or using them. So they say, why be in that type of relationship when I would rather be by myself? Hence why men could be single.
Right. And I agree. I agree. I agree
Hence
with
why
her.
men can be single.
Hey.
Whatever. All right. The final part is, that being said, using "I could do bad all by myself" should not be viewed the same as "I don't need a man." Just my opinion. I don't
I
need a
love it.
man. It's a completely different thing to me. What do you think about that, Kyle? And that's it. That's the final.
I think that's 100% spot on. And I love that how she broke that differentiation down. Because right, some people say, well, I assume you say this that you mean this. No, I don't. I can do bad all by myself, meaning that I don't want to be alone. It's just the fact that I'm not going to choose that person to do it with, because if he's creating more chaos in my life, why do I need him? Why would I bring more chaos into my life? No, no. And it's not that I don't want a man, I just don't want that man.
Oh no, real quick. To that point, let me say this. A lot of, and I led into it in regards to the relationships where women have children from, baby daddies, and they're not with them no more. And the pushback always to that is, well, he lied. He pretended to be someone he wasn't. That's why, I had children with him. That turns out not to be so true. A lot of women are attracted to that 1% man, the man that gets a lot of attention, the man that's desired by other women, especially
Yes.
in young women when they're young. They're attracted to that, and their naivete or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
My point to that is I want to encourage women as best they can to choose wisely. There's this Instagram influencer online. I mean, no one's perfect, right? But she talks about when it comes down to sex and marriage and intimacy and pregnancy, women have more control over that. So if a man impregnates a woman, he has no say in whether she's going to have that baby or not. He can share with her his concerns, but ultimately she's the one that makes the final decision because she's carrying it, right? So with that said, there's also, I heard, multiple forms of contraception to prevent from having a child. So in a lot of cases, I'll say a lot carefully, this woman knew the type of man that she was with and still chose to sleep with him and bear children with him. In my opinion, that's not a wise decision. So in terms of knowing that with all this information coming out now, the challenge it is in raising a child, especially as a single mother with a quote unquote deadbeat dad or a father of a child. I don't know if the father is the right definition, but as a woman, I would think it would be in your best interest to really think carefully about who you sleep with and who you decide to bear a child with. It's up to you and the decision that you make. Ultimately, up to you. So I just want to leave that out there in regards to women, so that way you don't have to pay the prices and the ramifications of that decision later. That's my point on that, Kyle. Final
Indeed.
point.
Indeed. I agree, man. Responsibility goes both ways, man.
See that. That is true, but I'll say this, who is the responsibility more on in terms of
I mean,
pregnancy?
yeah, I mean, as far as that part, yeah, you ultimately have the last decision, last say. So who enters your body? That's facts. Like, and again, that's just what it is. Everybody plays the part. So just play your part. Play your position and acknowledge where you made a misstep. That's all. In the process of pointing a finger, remember you got to point them joints three back at you. So that's what that is. It kind of, well, responsibility. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody's overusing accountability. Responsibility, man. That's all.
Got
Responsibility.
you. All right, so in that final words before we're going to end, y'all, that was it for our discussion. Again, if anything we said in all our past videos or what have you got a question on, you know how we do now. You know how we do. We get into it. So be careful what you put in the comments because we will address them joints as informative and knowledgeable as we can. Final words, Cal. What final words you want to drop
All I
before
want to
we?
say is, the family, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We appreciate your time, appreciate your energy. If anything we said triggered you, forgive us. If anything set you off or caused any negative negative emotions that may have led to being very upset, very angry or whatnot, please forgive us. That wasn't the intention. The intention is just really to inform and have a community discussion. We're not saying we're experts, but we are offering some insight that we have, not just from us, but from elders, trusted elders, observation, life experience, and that data, facts, and statistics. You know what I'm saying? So again, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about anything we said, put it down in the chat. We're open to the conversation. We know we don't know everything, so we're open to hear any insight that you may have on this particular topic, dealing with relationships and dealing with Black and brown folks in America succeeding, being our best, striving for excellence.
See, he covered it. I hate when you do that, man. What else is there to say? There's nothing else to say. Yeah, I ditto to my brother Cal's comments. Appreciate it. And just know that where we're coming from is from a place of sincerity. For me, it's passion. Very passionate about our discussions. And one of the reasons why I'm glad to be a part of this Grand Rising Collective is because it gives us an opportunity to share our knowledge, to share our experiences with the community, because ultimately my goal is for us to uplift one another. and we don't have that. We live in neighborhoods, but these conversations that and Kyle knows this already. I'm trying to continue the dialogue going so that way we can heal, because that's the key word, heal. And a lot of healing comes from communication. And this is why this is great. So I want to encourage you, reiterate what Kyle said, but I really want to encourage y'all um, to just start having this dialogue, just start having this conversation. We have technology today now. There's no excuse for us not to be able to share knowledge among each other. And that's how we
Mhm.
build, right? We two heads are better than one. So with technology, it's hundreds of heads together, right? Much better than one. So just start taking advantage of this technology. You have us
Yes.
here. We're looking forward to more of these conversations. You're going to hear from two brothers' perspectives. I say pillars of the community, bro.
Oh, no doubt.
I'm gonna say that. And here's another point. We're doing the work. We're doing the
Yes.
work. My brother Kyle is an educator in education system, board of DOE, Department of Education. He also has a filming company that information on filming, Precise Minds Inc. As for myself, I have a nonprofit organization teaching teens to think, catered to developing inner city youth skill sets so they can become entrepreneurs, at the very least, start their own business. Professor at Fordham University, sit on the
Hmm.
advisory board of LIU as well. So, and we have network. We have a network of people in our network who we bring on to share their knowledge as well. This is part of a main component of Grand Rising Collective in and of itself, where we bring these professionals from the inner city or not known who are doing great work in the community. So just keep that in mind, y'all. Thank you so much. We gonna be out. We gotta change it. We gotta change the sign out, man. I'm not doing no 3-2-1. I'm not doing the 3-2-1. We appreciate y'all and stay tuned for the next live that we have come up and the content that we're going to be putting up starting tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. We appreciate y'all. We'll see you later.
See you later.
Yeah,
Peace.
all right, peace.
Peace.
That's all right. Let me see. Let me see. I think that's it, Cal. Hold on.